Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The title of our lab today is Enamel. This is the practical session of Enamel. Here in Enamel lab, you can distinguish between the enamel structures, enamel surfaces. What is the enamel? As I said in our lecture, enamel forms a protective covering 2 mm knife edge. It is the resistant covering, the hardest tissue in a human being. It is the hardest, but at the same time, it is the brittle. It is a brittle material. Act as semi-permeable membrane. This is the longitudinal section of the whole tooth. You can see here the enamel that cover the crown of the tooth. The crown of the tooth. Here you must distinguish between demineralized section and ground section. What do you think? This is a ground or demineralized? It is ground section. It is a ground section. Why it is a ground section? Because it is for matured enamel here. If it is demineralized sections, enamel appear as a space. بالعربي إنه هذا التوث إذا هو demineralized sections لازم عندنا الانامل ما يظهر بيه لأن الاناملز الانامل يحتوي على 96% 96% mineralized. فمن demineralized يعني سحبنا المينراليز من عند المينرال فيبقى as space. فمن ما يبقى as space هذا whole tooth هذا ground section. This is ground section of a tooth. طبعا بالانامل as we took in previous lecture many structures. We can see prism of rod, rod sheath, interprismatic substance, striations, and the directions of rods, many direction of rods, Hunter sugar bands, and two type of lines you can observe in the section of the enamel, incremental lines and neonatal lines, stria of Ritzias and neonatal lines. And at the surface of the enamel, you can notice many structures. Also, the structure of the enamel component of enamel structures, enamel lamellae, enamel tuft, and dentino-enamel junction. You can distinguish in many sections. And odontoblastic process, enamel spindles appear in enamel also in many next sections. We can see it. Enamel rod. What are the main components of enamel rod? Hydroxyapatite crystals. Well-packed hydroxyapatite crystals form the enamel rods. This is this enamel rod and this enamel rod. So take many directions and appear as many shapes. This is the rod. This is the rod sheath, and interrod substance. A rod sheath, it is the hypomineralized sheath. Less minerals than the enamel itself. Okay, and interrod substance from the its name, interrod, and between the rod. Enamel rod as a keyhole appear here in this section as a keyhole shaped enamel rod. Each enamel rod formed by four ameloblasts. This is the keyhole of enamel rod. طبعا هذا diagram, but it is real section of enamel rod. This is the rod and this interrod area. The crystals similar in structure. even if it was in-rod or inter-rod enamel, okay? but diverge in orientation. لكن راح يصير بيها divergence عندنا. divergence يصير بيها. The rod sheath appear clear in the section of the enamel. Why? It is less calcified and contains more organic material than the rod itself. طلاب كل شيء عندنا إنه هو less calcified أو hypomineralized موجود بالإنامل. الإنامل هو الهاردست تيشيو. ما دام هو صار less calcified راح يبين عندنا، راح يبين مميز. فهذا الرود sheath, the sheath of the head of the rod, thin peripheral layer, darker than the rod, and بالإلكترون microscope incomplete. مو حلقة كاملة. Interrod أو interprismatic substance cementing enamel rod together. تربطهم هاي المادة interprismatic substance أو interrod more calcified than the rod sheath. هنا صارت more calcified لكن بنفس الوقت at the same time less calcified than the rod itself. Appears to be minimum in human teeth. Also we see the striations of enamel. Enamel rod is built up of segment dark lines represent rhythmic manner of enamel matrix formation. شو تمثل لنا؟ تمثل إنه شلون ينبني الانامل in many stages. Represent rhythmic manner شوية rhythmic manner of enamel matrix formation. This is the rod and this interrod. Direction of the rods usually at right angles to the dentin surface. تكون at right angles. Follow a wavy course in clockwise and anti-clock deviation. At the cusp or incisal edge gnarred enamel. بالكسب directions مالتها طبعا راح يتغير بحيث تظهر لنا بصورة gnarred enamel. لكن but at the base and fissure area rod converge in their outward course. convergence مالتها حول ال outward course, okay? in cusp or incisal edge gnarred enamel wavy course, very wavy course راح تصير عندنا بالincisal edge والcusp tip بحيث تظهر لنا gnarred enamel. هذا direction of the enamel. Here you can see. شوف take many directions. Also you can observe what we call hunter sugar bands. داخل الانامل section من الانامل يجينا الهانتر شوجر بانز. What mean hunter sugar bands؟ هي optical phenomena alternating dark and light strips have varying width seen in large ground section oblique reflected light originating from the dentino enamel junction. عبارة عن dark and light طوق وفاتح طبقات غامقة وفاتحة have a varying width. Here is the hunter sugar bands. This is the pale, this is the darker area. Okay? Pale and dark area. Or light and dark area. Also, this is the hunter sugar bands. This is demineralized section. Here, ground section. Here, ground section. But here, demineralized section. So you can observe hunter sugar bands. Hunter sugar bands. The incremental line, two main types, citriophrisius and the neonatal line. Citriophrisius and the neonatal line. الcitriophrisius إيش تختلف عن الneonatal line؟ الcitriophrisius, the causes of its appearance may be periodic bending of the enamel rod, يعني the many directions that take by the enamel rod, or variation in organic structures. In concentration I mean, or maybe to the physiologic classification rhythm. هاي the causes of appearance of citriophrisius. شلون نشوفها؟ How you notice the citriophrisius? Brownish bands in ground section reflect variation in structure and mineralization. A broadening of these lines occur in metabolic disturbances. هذه هي this is the citriophrisius. نشوف الانامل مخطط خطوط. هاي الخطوط كليتها citriophrisius. incremental line We called it in enamel Stria of Rhizius. But the neonatal line, the cause of appearance of a neonatal line is due to the sudden change in the environment and nutrition. The antenatal enamel is better classified than the postnatal enamel. يعني الخط اللي يفصل that separate between the enamel that formed before birth and after birth. You understand? The line that separate between the enamel that formed before and after birth. We named it the neonatal line. وين نشوفها بأي أسنان؟ بكل deciduous teeth. All the deciduous teeth, the enamel of deciduous teeth and the first permanent molar develop partly before birth and partly after birth. The boundary between both is marked by neonatal line or ring. Or ring إذا نشوفها بالcross section. Okay? The whole deciduous teeth and the first permanent molar. Why the first permanent molar? لأن first permanent molar بحوالي الشهر الخامس the 5th month of pregnancy start to develop. Okay? وكل deciduous teeth مكونها neonatal line. نشوفها deciduous teeth and the first permanent molar. يعني بكل الأسنان اللي تتكون قبل الولادة. من هي؟ الأسنان اللبنية أقصد والfirst permanent molar. الfirst permanent molar. This is the neonatal line. Here, as usual, this is the neonatal line. This is the enamel that formed before birth اللي هو يكون harder than the enamel after birth. ليش after birth اللي برا؟ لأنه الأميلوبلاست produce enamel and go outward, outside. Okay? تفرز الانامل وتطلع لي برا. فهذا الانامل متكون بعد الولادة وهذا قبل الولادة. هذا الخط الفاصل هو neonatal line. This is the neonatal line of the enamel. هذا neonatal line of the enamel. أيضا الستركتشرز اللي نلاحظها بالإنامل اللي هي بالإنامل اللي بالسيرفس يعني بريكيماتا الرود إنس كراكس and many surfaces. Important structure surface structures هو البريكيماتا. بريكيماتا. Here is the بريكيماتا. Represent the ends of the stria of Rhizius as the enamel surface. What represent? هاي طبعا البريكيرماتا as groove مثل الجروف as represent as groove and represent the ends of stria of Rhizius نهايات الخطوط اللي موجودة بالإنامل على السطح مالته على السطح on the surface of the enamel. This is the rod ends. Rod ends as concave area appear on the enamel surface. الرود إند نهاية الرود يبين بشكل منطقة الكونكيف area at the enamel surface كلها هذه. This is the crack area on the enamel surface. Enamel lamellae. Here I want you to focus to distinguish between enamel lamellae, enamel tuft and enamel spindle. Between these three structures, enamel lamellae, enamel tuft, enamel spindle. Enamel lamellae, definition leaf-like structures extend from the enamel surface toward the dentino-enamel junction. يعني من ال outward إلى ال inward. هذه enamel lamellae. Confused with the crack caused by grinding decalcification extend in longitudinal and radial direction. الانامل lamellae confusion يصير عندنا مع الكراك اللي تظهر بالسيرفيس. Okay? Represent site of weakness in tooth and three types A, B, C. Enamel lamellae from outside to the dentino-enamel junction اللي هو بالinside. Okay? This is the enamel lamellae. نشوفها تقطع across the whole width of the enamel. What we call this? This is the stria of Rhizius. stria of Rhizius خطوط الانامل بالcross section الستري of Rhizius appear as ring, concentrated ring. Also, this is the enamel lamellae. This is the enamel lamellae. This is the enamel lamellae. Enamel lamellae. Enamel tuft. Enamel tuft. Enamel tuft pass from the dentino-enamel junction to about 1/5 إلى 1/3 of the enamel width at the dentino-enamel junction, hypomineralized area, and appear as grass مثل الحشيش تبين. هذه هي الانامل تافت. انامل تافت فرقناها عن الانامل لاميلي. شوف الانامل لاميلي تقطع الانامل من الاوتسايد الى الانسايد وكله تقطعه تقريبا. هنا لا، حوالي الخمس الى يعني الى ثلث الانامل فقط تاخذ من الانامل. وات ذا دنتاينو انامل جنكشن this is the ستريا اوف ريزيوس متبين as ring, concentrated ring، يعني هذا cross section. This is the enamel tuft. Enamel tuft in a ground section. Dentino enamel junction هو scallop junction. Convexity is where toward the dentin. toward the dentin. دائما المحدبة، الجهة المحدبة toward the dentin. الدنتين الطبقة اللي تحت الانامل. Layer that below the enamel. At this junction, the pitted dentin surface fit rounded projections of the enamel. The outline of the junction is performed by the arrangement of the ameloblast and the basement membrane. This is the dentino-enamel junction. شوف ال convexity toward where? Toward the dentin. وال concave area toward the enamel. This is the dentino-enamel junction. Scallop line. This is the lamella and this is the stria of Rhizius. الخطوط اللي موجودة بالenamel. We call this stria of Rhizius. Sometimes odontoblast process cross the dentin and cross the dentino-enamel junction and appear in the enamel before the enamel is well mineralized. So it appears in enamel as enamel spindle. Enamel spindle. What is its origin? Its origin ectomesenchymal tissue. Ectomesenchymal tissue is the same structure. It is the يعني بس هي only this structure in its origin differs from the other structures. كل الانامل in its origin what? In its origin ectoderm. Ectoderm. Only the enamel spindle in its origin ectomesenchymal. Why? Because it represents the odontoblast process that cross the dentino-enamel junction and appear in enamel. يعني هو الامتداد مالت الاكستنشن، الامتداد مالت الخلية الأودونتوبلاست، الخلية المكونة للدنتين. Odontoblast form dentin. Okay? So the extension of this cell cross the dentino-enamel junction and appear in the enamel as enamel spindle. بهذا اللاب تعرفنا على الانامل رود، neonatal line, stria of Rhizius, concentrate on stria of Rhizius, concentrate on the neonatal line, concentrate on the rod head, rod tail, rod sheath, and the enamel structures بما فيهم الانامل لاميلي، enamel spindle والenamel tuft. And inshallah the next lab we will take the ameloblast life cycle. Thank you for your listening.